They want to eliminate what they call the deep state. The deep state is a cadre of professionals dedicated to honoring the Constitution, the laws of this country, and carrying out the policies of the Congress and the President. The deep state dedicated to carrying out the policies of the President. The deep state dedicated to carrying out the policies of the President.
I tell you, everybody, it is just getting more and more and more ridiculous what is going on. Welcome back. It is the Friday Free for All. Welcome to the Prepared Mind channel, where we're going to discuss what the heck is going on. We got Uman, we got everyone in the studio at their private studio, just kind of like a work from home studio thing. Get this, folks. This morning I touched on it. I want to start the show off with it. Remember that terrorists have feelings. That's right. Terrorists have feelings. They don't make fun of them. Don't call them what they are, etc., etc., etc. There's the Office of the Director of National Intelligence says no more calling them radical terrorists and jihadis. We don't want to upset them. We need to be more concerned about their feelings. In fact, all of this feelings-based crap is designed to control your behavior by saying you're hurting people's feelings. You're making them feel bad. You're victimizing them. You're a bully. You're a bad person. You're part of the minority. Not really the majority, but actually you're the majority, and you're using your whiteness and your racism and your white supremacy and your Nazism. You're bad. Just remember that. You're bad. Meanwhile, the borders open. We're being flooded. Meanwhile, the government's spending trillions of dollars, wasting it every year, going in the hole. $1 trillion every 3 months, pissed away by the federal government. Now, not only does the Office of the Director of National Intelligence say that they won't use offensive language like that, viral videos or internet videos have gone wild, because they're showing FBI agents who have gone to private people's homes to talk to them about their social media posts. If an FBI agent showed up at your house and said, I show you here on this computer, this laptop, the offensive things you're saying, I don't give a fuck. In fact, it is my right to offend you. Come visit me and I'll offend you in person. You bunch of butt pirates. Offensive? You want an offensive? Try gays having fruitcake sex in the Senate chamber. Try Obama and Mitch Hell doing what they do and all of their offensive crap. And the Clintons and the Pelosi's, old hammer-ass Pelosi himself. Right? You want offensive? How about Biden's border policy? His Afghanistan withdrawal? Fuck you, G-holes. They're not G-men anymore. You're now G-holes. It is that type of world, folks. Shit has hit the fan. Do you think you need to put up with their shit? Or do you think it's high time that the government tried serving us instead of selling us out? I tell you what, all of us have had enough. I know I have. If you haven't had enough, I tell you what, call the FBI and apologize right now to them for everything you've ever said. It's like confession. Right? If you're a Catholic, and it is Good Friday, if you're a Catholic, you get to go to church and confess your sins in hopes that God will forgive you for confessing your sins and that you will get to go to heaven after you die. After you die, then you go to heaven. There's some strange concepts out here. The government wants you to confess your sins, and they will forgive you. And the government doesn't even promise you a heavenly afterlife. At least the church did that. At least the lying bullshit churches do that. And they'll tell you about heaven and hell. And if you don't obey, that's where you'll go. Folks, I believe that evil is in its own hell, in their heads, in their lives, their spirit, their soul, all of that it creates its own hell. If you're a good person, right, and you realize nobody's perfect, you can handle any. It's bullshit. I've so much had it with these people. You're offensive. They're going to send armed federal law enforcement agents out of Washington, D.C. to your house. You know what they're doing? They're establishing what's called contact. They want to see you in person. They want to see if you're going to kiss their ass, if you're going to bend over, if you're going to take your words and eat them, if they can make you feel guilty, if they can bring you in line, bring you under their woke blanket of acceptance. The same way churches are accepting the rainbow fruits into their congregations and then telling the rest of their congregations being a fruitcake is just fine. In fact, you should accept them. I don't think so. Keep your fruitcakedness to yourself. That's your problem to deal with, not mine. Anyways, folks, we've got all kinds of trouble. All kinds of trouble. It is Friday. It's the free-for-all. It's been one hell of a week. Get your comments in down below to Uman if you're here live on the preparedmind.club or subscribestar.com. We welcome everybody here. No confessions needed. I ask that everyone be respectable of one another. Oh, and I can't force you to be respectful, but this is like, shall we say, my meeting hall, right? You can have your meeting hall at your house and you can say all the offensive shit you want there. But here we try and be nice to each other. As far as the left goes, they can all fuck off. Okay, Mr. Uman, I don't know where we're at on collecting things, sorting them out. I know you've got an incredible system for questions, comments, thoughts, predictions, prognostications, and let's roll into it. We've got Heidi, age 12. And she says, I heard some of our naval ships are now trapped in Baltimore Harbor. Thoughts? I'll tell you what. I haven't heard it, but I haven't really followed it as much as I probably should have. I do see this ship crash. I see the potential for cyber attack, cyber shutdown of the ship because redundant systems, automatic systems, control systems, safety systems, everything seemed to have failed. Everything. And then you get into the fun conspiracy stuff like, well, Obama on Netflix just did a movie where a ship crashes and it has its name and company are associated with the very same ship that crashed. And then The Simpsons had a ship crash into a bridge in one of their episodes. Once again, I guess if you have 5 billion cartoons, there's going to be a lot of similarities between that cartoon and real life, especially since the ridiculous cartoon is mirroring the ridiculous world that is now run by an idiocracy, a truly idiocracy. As far as naval ships stuck in the Baltimore Harbor, that wouldn't be surprising to me. Now, in order for a ship to go into harbor in time of peace, something has to replace it in the naval fleets, shall we say, their program. The deployment of the Navy isn't dependent on 1 or 2 or 3 or even 10 ships. All right, they're okay. In other words, Heidi, I don't want you to worry too much. I would be more worried about the ability to hack into ships and either shut them down or control them. That to me seems to be a bigger issue. Or maybe even bigger issue is the words of Vladimir Putin. He says this, quote, the claims that we are going to attack Europe after Ukraine. It is utter nonsense and intimidation of their own population just to beat the money out of them. Now, all of these disasters, whether natural or man-made, like a ship running into a bridge, guess what that's going to be used as? A political baton to hit us about the head, to take money out of our wallets, to inconvenience us, lower our standard of living, and then say, we're from the government, we're here to help. That's how governments beat the money out of us, right? Now, in my opinion, Putin understands and sees exactly what you see, what I see, what we see. Our government, all the governments around the world, whether it's France or US, Canada, England, they all lie to us. They mislead us, and they beat money out of us through psychological warfare and psychological manipulation. Now, Putin has threatened and said, hey, we're being attacked. We're going to defend ourselves. This idea that he wants to invade Europe, I said, yeah, that's not going to happen. Right? He knows that he spends like 3% of all the money in the world spent on military. Russia spends about 3% of it. I believe the United States spends either 30 or 40%. Just our military alone spends 30 or 40% of all the money in the world that goes in the military is the U.S. doing it. It's like the usual one. So Putin knows, right, not to go to war. But then he says, hey, don't forget I have nukes. And I think Putin is likely to attack anyone that truly threatens Russia. And to me, that's indisputable. So this NATO exercise on the border of Poland over by Belarus, very dangerous. He doesn't want to invade Europe, right? That's what he says. And I believe him. I don't think they're going to attack Europe, invade Europe, roll into Europe, but at the same time, he's not going to roll over. They're not spending money on the military the way we are. They're spending money on their military where it makes sense and is most useful. All right, before I get more into Ukraine and France and the United States and all these idiots out here pushing for war so they can beat more money out of us and try and take our rights, let's do this. Let's have some more fun with you guys. What is it that has gotten to you all week long that you want to talk about? Mikey G says it's the Navy's fastest cargo ships for fast deployments. Okay, so those ships that are captured, those ships that are trapped inside the harbor at Baltimore, they're the fastest cargo ships. Well, then we'll just have to use the second fastest cargo ships. Now, I really don't know if naval ships are faster than commercial cargo ships. I'm sure it really has to do with displacement and everything else. I didn't know that we felt like we had to have faster cargo ships or that was going to become an issue. But now that we've discovered the thing, we're like, okay, let's see. They've trapped fast cargo ships. They've trapped some naval ships in that harbor. Do we really need to worry about anything? The answer is no, folks. The United States military, we have over, I think, 300 different bases around the planet. I'm not talking about, these are the ones not in the United States of America. They're everywhere. They can deploy missiles, bombs, everything within hours, if not minutes, at any one time. If there's going to be a war anywhere, that war can wait 2 or 3 days for our ships to get there. And if it goes from 2 to 3 days to 3 or 4 days, I'm sure the enemy won't mind living one more day before they truly do get bombed into a fiery piece of charcoal. Anyways, fast deployments. I think that's scare tactic. I truly do. So one ship is a little slower than the other, and I understand you got to be there, man. No, I don't think that's how war works at all. Right? We've got jets that fly hypersonic or supersonic, actually hypersonic as well. Right? I'm not too worried about it. I am more concerned about people being afraid of things they shouldn't be afraid of, being concerned about the government when they shouldn't have to give a shit. I'm more concerned about people being intimidated on an individual basis on their front lawn, on their street, at their school, at the school board meeting, at their job, at the supermarket. That bothers me, that people are being bullied by these asswipes and threatened by government. Not foreign governments, but our own. I'm tired of them pandering to people who truly are fucking enemies. This is why we're going to have so many problems in this country, the United States of America, because of all of the misinformation and disinformation and lies and fucking lies and more lies coming out of the government. Because it's so unbelievable, no one watches the news. Because it is so ridiculous, no one gives a shit. And so we're left to ourselves. What is important and what isn't? You know, and again, I mean, I agree with you guys. Hey, look, they didn't shut down a ship in the Suez Canal. They didn't shut the ship down in the Mediterranean. They didn't shut it down in the middle of the ocean. They shut it down inside of America, inside of one of our own ports. And so if they could shut a ship down, they could shut down more ships. They could shut down entire cities. I get it. I understand the risk and the threat, but that is why we're preppers. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Don't be afraid. Don't be worried. Be prepared. You know, I truly am. I truly am sick and tired of these people playing fuck. And by the way, I am extremely frustrated with where everything is heading. And I think everyone is. I'm pretty sure you guys are. I read your emails and see your texts and everything else. It's frustrating because it seems like the American people won't wake up. It seems like the government is just getting stupider and stupider at all times. And that we're having to pay for it. And that to claim you're going to do anything about it makes you a bad person. Meanwhile, the left, the political left, the idiots, the terrorists, they continue to put their heads down and charge and attack. Crazy shit. It would be nice if more places and more states were like the great state of Florida. That's right, folks. The governor of Florida, Governor DeSantis, has ended the bullshit private property money grubbing scam called squatters' rights. The scam, for once and for all, is now over in the state of Florida because DeSantis signed the new bill into law. It ought to be called the Get Off My Lawn, Fuckers legislation. You know, they also had the Don't Say Gay law. Remember when Disney tried that shit? In fact, I got that somewhere in the stack of stuff. It was never called Don't Say Gay. In fact, the word gay never was a part of it. It was called parental rights in Florida. And the gays didn't like it, and Disney didn't like it, so they called it the Don't Say Gay legislative bullshit. Now, Florida, it's squatters. You're done. If more states did that, if more governors did that, if more governors stood up to the federal government, if the people stood up to their government and told their government to stand up to the feds, we wouldn't have these fucking problems. That's part of my frustration is people aren't taking action. Government just goes, oh, well, I'm at the county level and you're at the state level, so I must listen to you. The answer is fuck no, you don't have to. The government doesn't listen to us. Why should we listen to it? Government is not superior to us. Government is a building made out of bricks and stones and cement. And it is executed by idiots who think they're so important because they have a government job. Oh, I tell you, I'm going to have to calm the fuck down or I'm going to lose my shit. All right, speaking of losing my shit, and thank you, Governor DeSantis, as I get the Prepared Mind bunker buried deep within the sands of Florida so that next time you see it, it'll be heavenly. Anyways, Mr. Uman, where are we going next? We've got name redacted, and it is the Friday free-for-all. If you're here, if you're live, it's only $2 a month, for fuck's sake, to sign up. And you guys have done it. Get your questions down below. And if you need to, put on there anonymous, right? You want to be anonymous. You want to say stuff, but you just don't want your name out there. Like name redacted. He's redacted his name. He says, how about such an important port and the whole war on Tehran and no ram protection to the pilings ever considered since 9/11? Yeah, the war on terror. I said Tehran. Freudian slip. Yeah. Baltimore is such an important port. And I do know that, folks, compared to the West Coast, the East Coast is covered in ports. Anyways, yeah, war on terror. And the pilings, the bases of these bridges, they're not protected. They don't have an extended wall to keep ships from hitting them and then hitting the bridge and thereby knocking the bridge. No, it's just stupid. It's shitty planning. In fact, I blame Pete Buttigieg. That's right, folks. Pete Buttigieg, who likes his colon rammed by his male partner. And he likes to chest feed on his own nipple his child that he adopted. These are some sick fucking people. Oh, yeah, Pete Buttigieg. That's what President Biden called him. And Pete Buttigieg is the Secretary of Transportation. And transportation is our nation's infrastructure. And if they really gave a shit, wouldn't they do exactly what Name Redacted is pointing out? Armor, protect, overbuild our infrastructure. Nope. Not going to do it. Instead, we're going to spend money, billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars to pay for illegals that are flown in, bussed in, trained in, driven in, trucked in, vanned in by the Obama administration so they can get votes. They're literally creating future Democrat voters by giving away your money to these fucking losers from other countries who have no skills, no education, no understanding of America, freedom, liberty, etc. That's more important. Fuck our infrastructure and fixing our bridges and highways and tunnels. There's a difference between a free republic and a people who are being treated like milk cows. Now, I actually heard this expression by someone else. I think it was John Rubino. He's an economist. But he was talking about you need, and it may have been someone else if I'm giving him credit when he shouldn't have got it. Forgive me. But beware when a government ends, stops, terminates, right? Refuses to treat you like a milk cow and starts treating you like a beef cow. Right? There's two types of cows out there, folks, or shall we say bovine. The kind that gets milked where it's fed and allowed to live and you get milk off of it, right? So the cow eats and then someone's stealing all that energy through its milk. That's what the government is doing to us. It's milking us dry. But a beef cow, folks, a steer, if you will, is raised till it's just old enough to be eaten whole. Right? We're being raised just to be destroyed and slaughtered for these fucking people. And I'm going to take this a little further, as I'm wont to do. When a cow is born, if it is a female cow, they're like, you go over there. You're going to make milk or you're going to make more cows for us. If you're a male, right? If you're a baby bull, a male cow, they look at you and go, male. They cut its nuts off, make it a steer. And then they feed it, fatten it up, and eat it. You look out at all these Democrats. If they can get past the abortion clinic, they're born and then raised by idiot Democrats who then say, you take yourself down to the clinic and get yourself some sterilization drugs, cut off your genitals. You are no longer a human fucking being. You're a trans, which should mean eunuch. They're being raised right now, folks, for slaughter. That is what these eunuch or eunuchized kids are. They're beef cattle for slaughter in SHTF. In a brave new world where you don't get to reproduce. That's what they got. All right, let us continue. I mean, we got so much shit to talk about. Mr. Uman, let's do another one and then I'll grab one of mine. Uman says, hey, name redacted. I think Uman's responding. It's impossible to protect every possible thing against every possible possibility. That's just not possible, right? We can't address everything, right? It reminds me of our automobiles today. What is the automobile? It is a rolling safety factory. It's got not just an airbag on the steering wheel. No. Let's start at the fucking beginning. The original cars were very rough and bouncy. So they said, this is terrible. We need to put some suspension, some springs under it to absorb the shock and make the ride better. And then they're like, wait a minute, if you run into something, you instantly stop. That fucking hurts. So we're going to put bumpers on stuff so you can bump things and it doesn't hurt. Once again, let's make the ride smoother. And then they realized as they made the ride smoother, and then they said, let's take tires. And instead of having solid rubber tires, let's fill them with air so that they absorb impact. And we get a smoother ride with the suspension and the bumpers, and the roads don't feel quite so bad. And so cars got faster and faster and faster. And then they're like, whoa, and you run into someone, even with the bumper, you can get hurt. So let's put seat belts in the automobile. And they're like, seat belts not enough. Now we need crumple zones. We need airbags in the steering wheel, the side of the car, the front of the car, the this, the that, the back. The fucking car is an amazing safety device. It should be a transportation device. But look at how much we spend to pay for a fucking car now. It's still just a piece of steel with wheels that needs to go from point A to point B. Yet they've added all this other shit into it. So yeah, we can, but this is what the idea that we can do that to the world, make everything 100% safe so no one ever gets hurt. No. Now, Uman to pile on says, we lived without helmets while jumping our Schwinns over sketchy as hell ramps. What he means by sketchy as hell is you'll get a few cinder blocks and you steal a piece of plywood from your dad's stockpile next to the garage, and you build a ramp that's 8 inches and you jump off it, and then you're like, I'm going for 16 inches. So you do 2 cinder blocks. And you're just jumping and flying, and it's fucking ridiculous. Anyways, Uman says, today they don't want you leaving your house without being completely bubble wrapped. Life is dangerous. Yeah. Helmets. We didn't have helmets when I was a kid. If you put a helmet on your head on a bicycle, first off, people ask 2 questions. 1, are you retarded? 2, are you going to pull some kind of Evel Knievel shit? Because if you are, I'm going to go get some popcorn, steal some of my dad's beer, call all my friends on a landline and say, get over here. Mitch is about to do something completely outrageously stupid, like build a sketchy as hell ramp, and he's going to jump over his dad's sports car. And if the jump doesn't kill him, his dad surely will. Now, having said all that, yes, bridges. I find it to be an incredibly good investment to protect the pilings from fucking cargo ships. When they originally built a lot of these bridges, cargo ships were big, but now they're fucking enormous. Okay, understand this. I was off the Gulf Coast. This is a year and a half ago. Off the Gulf Coast. And we were on an island. In fact, I think I did an island aquatic adventure. And we're sitting on the beach at an island, probably enjoying a snack. And I noticed far off in the distance a ship coming, a cargo ship. And there were little boats like when we came in, and there were large, medium boats. And then there was fucking yachts and shit anchored in this offshore island. And this ship was coming out. And I'm looking at this ship and I'm going, something don't seem quite right. The ship is literally, folks, 2 fucking miles away. And it just sails on by and passed. Well, about 5 minutes later, waves came from that ship. And every boat was tilting like this, just incredibly. In fact, it even, the yachts, big 70, 80-foot yachts, started tilting and shit was flying all over the place, chairs off the deck. And I thought, number one, why the fuck didn't they know that was going to happen? If you own a yacht that's that expensive, how can you not understand that that cargo ship miles away is going to send 5 and 6 foot waves? not the whole way. It's just a little ripple, but anytime a ripple gets to a beach and it goes up the beach, it creates those waves. That's why we have surf, right? So it's not tricky. It's water science. Anyways, these ships, the bigger they get, the more disruption and damage they can do. Yeah, protect our bridges, please. Idiots. Fucking government. Anyways, as for jumping, I sure hope none of your friends, Mr. Uman, tried jumping their dad's sports car like Evel Knievel when you were a kid. Anyways, good stuff, folks. Good stuff. So let's continue if we shall. I'll do this. I'll cover this, folks. There's some sort of cover up with the bridge. I will give you that. And it becomes more revealing as time passes. Yes. But look, either the NTSB and all of the safety precautions are thrown out the window, or something really bad happened. Either it was intentional or it was accidental, right? But either way, they just completely fucked up. But guess what? We talked about the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, doing their job. Well, they did it, folks. They got the Dali's black box. Dali meaning that's the name of the ship. And guess what? The little black box, the crash thing, the black box has all the data on it. Well, there was no CCTV footage, no closed circuit television, no security camera footage was found on it. All the sensors were cut off and then turned back on and screwed with the voice recorder. You couldn't hear because of background noise. In other words, the black box is a pile of shit. They're hiding everything. We either knew it was going to reveal incredible stupidity, or they're just going to fucking lie to us, SHTF style. You bet that's what happened. They don't want us to know the facts. They need to have a narrative that you can believe so that they can continue milking you, tricking you psychologically. Now, let's just go with that. It's too much. Sometimes it's too much for me. And I am becoming, now I get this actual thought from you guys. I'll get a message, John, I need to take a few days off. John, too much stress. John, it's too hard. John, it's overwhelming. And I do let it overwhelm me because I need to take all this shit in, right? Digest it, get what I need from it, and just crap the rest out, right? Garbage in, garbage out, gigo. But I get it when people say, I've had enough, I need a fucking break. Oh, man, do I get it, because these people are absolutely retarded beyond belief. Beyond belief. Okay, Mr. Uman, shooting you a little message there. Make sure I get everything timed out good. All right. Let's continue. What do you guys want to talk about? I just talked about that stupid bridge one more time. So Cyberhana says, ask John his thoughts on that paper called The Fire Hose of Falsehood, because that's what we are dealing with here. The fire hose of falsehood. Well, I tell you, what do you got, Uman? Welcome to...
I can fill you in on that.
Welcome. Nice wrench, man.
Hey, thanks.
Is that a gun case?
No, that's my portable studio case. But it is a gun case, but it's filled with all the computer stuff for the MCC, so I can keep doing this when I'm traveling. The
Mobile Command Center, all the computer stuff goes in it, in that gun case.
Yeah, it's got the camera, the microphone, the little Mac Mini. And
you walk around outside with that, you're going to scare people, and the FBI are going to come visit you.
Well, that's why I got a white one. It's not as scary as a black one.
Here we go. Black is scary. White is good and harmless. You must be some kind of a racist. I completely heard this. Yeah, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence says no more saying things like blackballed or black this, anything negative with black, because it lends itself to the white supremacist idea that everything black and dark is evil. It's just such bullshit.
Wouldn't whitewashing things be evil too, though?
Oh, no. See, you whitewash it. You take something evil and you make it white so it's believable good because white's always good. So white is evil, hiding under the idea. Yeah.
Right, but that act in itself is evil.
Correct. Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, you can, if you're an idiot, you can run with this all day long and believe it too. So
Oh, yeah.
I just can't believe it. Anyways.
And that's where this whole fire hose of falsehood comes in.
All right.
Falsehood was a Soviet era propaganda technique where they would just flood the media and however they disseminated information with the most ridiculous claims, the biggest lies, not worry about any kind of consistency. But as long as you keep flooding everybody with it, sooner or later they start believing it. And that's what I think we're going through right now. You know, I mean,
it's very similar. What's that? Go ahead.
Look at all the inconsistencies in the media. You know, they tell you one story about how this is bad, and then in the next story, they're telling you how it's good. Or like, let's use, for example, the illegal alien with the firearm. You know, in Illinois, they're taking away firearm rights, yet the Supreme Court of Illinois declares that the illegal alien had a constitutional right to have that firearm.
Yeah, they can carry them, but you can't even own them.
Yeah, I mean, that guy couldn't even get a FOID card. How could he even not be going to jail for possession of a gun? If I let my FOID card expire, or I didn't have a concealed carry and was caught carrying a gun, I'd be in jail.
Well, foreigners or aliens or non-American nationals are not allowed to purchase guns. So how the fuck did this guy even, or these people even get them?
Yes, but in Illinois, how does a judge in Illinois rule that they have a constitutional right to have one?
Right.
With all the anti-gun stuff going on, it's absolutely ridiculous, mind-bending.
Yep. Yeah, it is. You know, the another way to describe it is that you throw all kinds of shit at the wall, and after a while, it starts sticking. Little bits here, little bits there. Pretty soon, the whole wall's covered in shit, and it's all sticking real well. Fire hose of falsehood, huh?
Yep.
Gaslighting us like a motherfucker. Get this, folks, Mr. Uman. Let's talk about this while you're right here. In France, they had the military had to take down a fake Ukraine war website because they were trying to recruit people. It was a fake website trying to get people, especially immigrants, to enlist to go fight in Ukraine against the Russians.
Oh, my God.
Now, I find it fascinating. It was made to look and sound just like a real government website. So it's okay for France or Washington, D.C., or Canada, or England, or the United Nations, or the United Kingdom, or the European Union, and every stinking politician and doctor and news anchor to fucking lie about war, disease, science, the climate, economy. They can lie about everything. But fuck you, Mr. Uman. If you want to make a fake, joke, satirical, or nonsensical website that's a false enlistment website, and it's, you know what their complaint was? It's misleading to people. But this fire hose of falsehood, that's not fucking misleading. They can do it, but you can't. They can do it, you can't.
All you have to do is listen to mainstream media. You know, pick a day, go listen to about 5 or 6 different newscasts, different stations, whether it's ABC, NBC, MSN, whatever.
MSBC?
MSNBS or whatever it's called.
It's bullshit. MSBS.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
you listen to it for 5 or 6 of them, and then what do you hear?
You hear the same words being used with the same talking points by every news anchor.
Every news anchor, every channel.
Yeah. And, you know, right now everything is a black swan event. You know, nobody talked about black swan events. And all of a sudden, the last 2 weeks, every station is using that terminology.
Yeah.
You know, it's just preposterous. How many of these compilations do they have to do showing hundreds of news people saying the exact same thing on the same day before people wake up and realize, oh my God, this is a bunch of shit.
Right.
You need that max headroom. You need your max headroom drop in.
Yeah. Well, it's you know, the Soviets, the communist Soviet scumbag communist government, they were at least honest about their lies because they had one news source called Pravda, which is interesting because Pravda translates into truth.
The truth, yeah.
The truth. The government told you the truth, but they only needed one channel. They wanted to lie to you through one channel only. America pretends like there's a diversity of opinion, and as you just pointed out, there isn't. They aren't even fucking creative about it. They go to the teletype printer, rip off the sheet, right? Put it in the teleprompter that, of course, Biden can't read, but news anchors can, and it all sounds the same because they're using the same words off the same Pravda line from the government. Yep. Because official sources say
the illusion of choice. Hey, we got Tristan in the background here.
Oh, okay. I had to bring my hand stuff in like this. Hey, what's up, Tristan? Anyways, yeah. Well, I couldn't see Tristan before, but I kept seeing those sunflower seeds get spit in the garbage. Just like that. Anyone want to mess with Uman, you're gonna have to mess with Tristan first. So that's
I got when I'm walking around with my three boys, it's like I'm some celebrity with three giant bodyguards.
That's the way it ought to be, man. That's the way it ought to be. Anyways, the Firehood of falsehood. You described it. It's propaganda, it's lies, it's misleading, but here's the government taking down sites. In America, they're censoring us because they don't want us to have our fire hose of falsehood or our fire hose of truth or fact or opinion. They're trying to take away our fucking opinions. They're even now sending FBI agents door to door to show people how offensive they are. How offensive is that, DC? Literally, fuck you guys.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know where it goes from here.
I'm waiting for the next time one of these fucking goons wants to tell me, hey, we know who you are. Yeah, well, I see you too, Dick. It's, they're cowards. They're fucking cowards. They're intellectual midgets too. And that's insulting to midgets. I apologize. Sorry, midgets. In fact, I'll bring that one up. That's offensive, John. They're little people. No, of course they're little. I'm big. They're little. But, there's a lot of midgets out there that are making a killing on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and probably YouTube as well, making these funny midget jokes, which is a play on being small. The one I saw the other day, these two midgets kick in a door and they're like, hey, what would you do if two midgets, and they call themselves midgets, broke into your house in a home invasion? And the guy pulls out a frying pan like he was going to hit him, and he sets it back down, pulls out a little teeny egg pan. And he's like, pink, pink. And you can hear it going, pink, pink. And then there's, and then this other fucking guy, right? It shows this black dude, and he's looking at his front door, and someone's sticking their arm through the mail slot, reaching in, trying to unlock it and shit. Yeah. And so he takes a bat and he's beating the arm, right? Bam, bam, bam. And everyone's supposed to feel good about that, right? And then they show a dude who's crippled. He's like a crippled guy. He's all fucked up and he's making fun of it, going, "Look what you did to me! Look what you did to me!" And it's like, it's really kind of sick and twisted in a lot of ways that this guy is making fun of his own physicality, his own issues, but he's laughing about it. But that's offensive.
Yeah, but that's the way it used to be back in the 80s and 90s, before. We all made fun of ourselves. We laughed at ourselves. Now, God forbid somebody pokes fun at you for something, everybody loses their shit. The worst thing you could do if somebody's poking fun at you or, trying to
laugh with them,
make a joke, is to just laugh with it. If you get upset, they know they got you. And then they're going to needle you even harder. If you just laugh with it, go, yeah, I'm an
motherfucker. Yeah. Yeah. But the deal is it's been weaponized. Political correctness allowed for more disgusting filth by guilting everyone to accepting him, saying you can't say anything about him. Now they're punishing people socially, personally, professionally, and then They're trying to bring social credit scores into the banking system and financially crush people for not believing what they want. So it's all part of the SHTF as far as I'm concerned, and the attempt to totally control our minds.
Yep.
Yeah. So someone might say, well, John, you're big enough and stupid enough to battle them. It's like, well, okay, I guess I get to win then. At least I keep my dignity as a human fucking being. Wow. It's Friday. It is Friday, man. Friday free for all. I mean, get this. In Berkeley, protesters were calling Jews Zionist pigs. What else did they call them? They had all kinds of names. Zionist pigs, I thought was interesting. So they're having a meeting, right? And they get interrupted by these moronic Berkeleyites. Their job is to, I guess, just ruin everyone else's day. But they, calling Jewish people money suckers, pigs, and then chanting they're from the river to the sea or whatever the fucking words are for that. Yeah, from the river to the sea. And this was at a city council meeting in public. That's okay.
Oh, I saw one of the comments from the video the other day about one of these it's the small hat guys. I can't remember who it was, but he made some comment
guy, meaning the little Jew.
It's indefensible to defend the Jews or the small hats, as he phrased it, over their genocide. It's like, yeah, okay, you're getting upset about that. But what about what happened to them that provoked this whole situation?
Right?
Piss off with all that. It's the small hats and it's the this or it's the that or there's bad people. I don't know how many times we have to say it, but there's piece of shit people on every corner of this planet, of every race, color, religion, creed, and whatever. And I always have to throw that other line in there that said, yeah, well, if it's the Jews that are trying to take over the planet, they've been doing it for thousands of years, and they must really suck at it because they still
haven't done it.
Yeah.
Well, let's try and take it to something a little more neutral. Try this one. Japan and China, right? Those two countries, they have for centuries and millennia attacked each other.
Yep.
Who's right and who's wrong?
Who knows?
Who are the evil ones and who are not?
I guess you could probably make a case for either, depending on what point in time you pick.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, that's just it. It's what was the action that caused the thing to happen? That's who the bad guys are. But today you look at the Japanese, and we love them, and you look at the Chinese people, not the government, and make a distinction. Love the Chinese people, right? Now, when it comes to terrorists, I don't love them because they promised to kill me if they get a chance.
Sure.
And they've been consistent about this, unlike the Japanese, who have gone through, goods and bads, and same with the Chinese, goods and bads through history, whether they're good guys or bad guys, and based on our current modern day opinion of how things should be. But, it used to be as a country, a nation, as barbaric as it sounds, when your neighboring countries are weak, you attack them. You go to war and you steal their shit.
Evil hairless monkeys doing evil hairless monkey shit.
Yeah. So, yeah, when I hear about the small hats, okay, and the Zionists, okay, those are bad people doing bad things, but for the most part, Jews are just Jewish people.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I don't have any problems with people of Arab descent or Middle Eastern descent. What do I care? But I did read something interesting today. Get this, just as an aside. Apparently incest in Middle Eastern families is like 70 or 80%. It's huge. They hugely suffer from incest.
Really?
Incestuous offspring, yeah. And
that's interesting
because that has a lot to do with the intelligence level that we're dealing with.
That also kind of is interesting because remember a couple of weeks ago I told you we read that article about how all these ancestry.com type places are finding out exactly how prevalent incest is in the world.
Yes. And yeah, it's right. Very prevalent.
Yeah, and then before we get off that last topic, about which is the bad side, the other thing that I always love is that in order to defend your position on this is the good guy and that's the bad guy, they always take it back to some arbitrary point in time that fits their argument.
The you started it argument.
Yeah, because,
everything
okay,
you do is justified.
Yeah, and the other guy could take it back 10 years further and say, this is why we did that, so we're justified. Or go 10 years forward, and it flip-flops. So you can only determine who the good guy and who the bad guy is on the current actions.
Right.
You can't say, oh, you've been repressed for 1,000 years. Okay. And that, somebody killed our Pope, and now that justifies us in hating you guys 1,000 years later. I mean, it's beyond ridiculous,
It is. How if you have to go back that far, you got a problem. Your argument's weak. Now, what has Israel done to the Palestinian people? This is prior to October 7th. What have they done to the Palestinian people lately? Let's see. They have social rules that do not favor Palestinians and Arabs. In Israel, they have an apartheid type or caste system where there's certain people are more socially acceptable or higher than others. Okay, I get it. I don't like that. I think it's stupid. But that's how they choose to live. That's their system. But does that mean you kill everyone?
The thing that I always heard up until this was they were complaining about, the Jews are trying to annex this neighborhood or this part of the land and this and that. But I also, before that, always heard about how you would have all kinds of little minor attacks by the Palestinians on the Jews.
Yes.
And so, I mean, that's like little tit for tat stuff. But then when you decide to pull the trigger and go out there, invade and start killing who knows how many innocent people, and you're attacking civilians, you're not attacking the Israeli military guys. You're going out, killing innocent civilians, taking them hostage, all the stories you see and hear about the rapes and the this and the that. I mean, you can't go out and do all of that and then claim, they've been oppressing us, so we're justified. You know what? I'm sorry. The Jews, in this case, I think are more than justified in the retaliation they're taking. Have they taken it too far? I don't know. No. But if you don't wipe out your enemy's going to regroup and do the same thing to you. And that's so it's a very mixed bag. It's a tough call, and bottom line is not our problem.
Well, if you believe that the problem is so bad that you need to attack the way they attacked on October 7th, then what they're saying is it's so bad we need to have a war to finish and find out who gets to win, right? Yeah. If you felt so strongly you can attack that way, then you should be able to engage them on the battlefield. Instead, they hide behind the skirts of women and hold children out in front of them and play these fucking games.
Yeah, but I think put their munitions in schools and hospitals. I mean,
but to me that says it's the same. Well, it's not the same. It's a form of the same idiocracy that creates two sides. They're so balkanized they can't talk and they just get separated. And there's no way they can resolve their differences. And I think we're facing a very similar thing for different reasons here in America, even though they've introduced the concept of we must free Palestine and kill all Jews. We're having that argument in our country. It has nothing to do with our country. But it's a further divisive tool to create sides that can no longer communicate and can only resolve differences through violence. And that's why I'm a prepper, because I see this shit coming, man. I see it.
I have no side in the Ukraine-Russia thing. I have no side in the Israel-Palestine thing. I can see both sides of it. And ultimately, my opinion doesn't matter because it's not my fight.
Yeah, my fight is going to be this 10-mile radius around where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's where my fight is going to be when all this shit goes to hell.
And you're not going to see all the countries of the world uniting to help support one side or the other here either. Nobody's going to be sending aid shipments. Nobody's going to be sending munitions. Nobody's going to be doing nothing.
Yeah, if you're lucky, you'll get some UN blue helmets rolling through raping women and selling drugs.
You got that, yeah.
Because that's what they do. They murder, they shell civilians, they rape women, they kidnap women and sell them into sex slavery. They sell drugs, they're fucking criminal gangs, and that's the best we could hope for if things get really nasty.
Yeah.
So once again, get prepared, right? Food, water, shelter, clothing, all that kind of shit.
Absolutely.
But understand where our fight really is. It's in our country. And it's just a fucking mess. What a week. Hey, Mr. Man, I really appreciate you coming on and spending time with me. And of course, Cyber Han and his comments too.
Glad to do it, my friend.
Yeah. Yep. We're running out of time here. I got a couple things I want to talk about. And then we'll just hang it up. Sunday Night Live, though. I hope you're going to be there for Sunday Night Live, Mr. Uman.
I should be.
Okay, cool. Because, it's just not the same without you. Anyways, yeah, I'll have a bottle of scotch ready to roll. And it'll be Easter Sunday. My grandson is on the other coast, and I'm not going back there. So I'm old, no kids in the house. I'll be here Sunday. Sunday it is, everyone.
I can't believe a quarter of the year is already over again.
Man, I tell you, this whole life trick thing, right? Anyways, let me go ahead and stay on. I'll finish this up right here. Columbia University, folks. Columbia University is investigating this organization called Resistance 101. Resistance 101. It's a campus event where their speakers get up in front of everybody and they want to congratulate, they want to hold up high, they want to exonerate, they want to congratulate, praise Hamas. And this is their quote: "There is nothing wrong with being a member of Hamas." Let me bring it home. If this happened to you in America, in your town, man, my town, anywhere where a bunch of marauding scumbags showed up and just started kidnapping, shooting people, killing people, kidnapping people, raping people, beheading people, right? How can that not be wrong? Because these are civilians, right? Raping, murdering children, beheading women.
Right.
And it's not like they're honest. They don't declare their intentions. They just show up and then spring a surprise, right? Start shooting people down or killing them or blowing them up. How is that brave? How is that righteous? How is that proper? How is that good? Yet these college kids in America are so incredibly brain dead that they actually think there is nothing wrong with being a member of Hamas.
A declared terrorist organization.
Yeah. I just don't know why these students aren't kicked off campus and these campuses closed, period. Because they're breeding grounds for ignorant fucksticks.
If your school is sanctioning terrorist-related support, you should lose all public funding.
Right. Well, they're under investigation, but yeah, these people should be kicked out of school. They should have to forfeit their whatever the fuck tuition. Just you're out. You're expelled.
Forfeit your tuition, become ineligible for any kind of financial support or anything like that. Done.
Well, I like it that these law firms, have small hat owners and small hat bankers and small hat investors are finally like, wait a minute, we're donating money to these colleges and we're creating people that hate us.
Yeah. And they're teaching them to hate us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know all these same small hats are liberal Democrats, but instead of creating more liberal Democrats, they're just creating anti-Semitic, Jew haters that hate America, they're going to destroy everything that these other people built up. That's how divisive and stupid they are. Anyways, the fruit has not fallen far from the tree.
And you shall reap what you sow.
Oh, you're so biblical, man. You're so biblical. I love it. All right, man. I tell you what, let's call it a day. Let's call it a week. I'll be back Sunday night live, and we're gonna have some fun with it. Thank you, Uman.
All right. We'll see you then, guys. Have a good weekend.
Ciao. Semper Fi.